Picture this. The curtain rises, the spotlight flickers, and the audience holds its breath. But instead of a stellar Oscar-worthy performance, what unfolds is a cringe-worthy disaster that makes you want to sink into your seat. Welcome to our countdown of the worst actors of all time, a journey through the most wooden performances, painful line deliveries, and inexplicable career choices in cinematic history. We're about to explore the dark side of Hollywood, where dreams of stardom collide with a startling lack of talent. From B-movie blunders to blockbuster bombs, we'll witness performances so bad they're almost good, almost. But brace yourself, because our number one pick is so undeniably awful, it'll leave you wondering how they ever made it onto the silver screen. 20. Madonna.
There is he. James Bond. Your lesson.
I see you handle your weapon well.
I have been known to keep my tip up.
The Queen of Pop may rule the music world, but her acting career has been far less successful. Madonna's performances often come across as stiff and unconvincing, with a limited emotional range that fails to captivate audiences. Her most notorious role was in the 2002 film Swept Away, directed by her then-husband, Guy Ritchie. The movie was a critical and commercial disaster, with Madonna's wooden performance at its center. Throughout her acting career, Madonna has struggled to shake off her larger-than-life pop star persona and truly embody her characters. Whether in dramas like Body of Evidence or comedies like Who's That Girl, her performances tend to feel more like Madonna playing dress-up rather than genuine character portrayals. Despite her status as a cultural icon, Madonna has earned a record number of Razzie Awards for her acting, including Worst Actress wins for Shanghai Surprise, Who's That Girl, and Swept Away. While she's undoubtedly a force to be reckoned with in the music industry, Madonna's acting career serves as a cautionary tale that talent in one artistic field doesn't necessarily translate to another. 19. Steven Seagal.
I think you and I need to have a little talk.
I already told you everything. What more do you want me to say?
You told me that your friends were killed by local cops. That really doesn't explain to me how you ended up in a trunk.
Once an action movie staple in the late 80s and early 90s, Steven Seagal's wooden acting and limited range have made him a punchline in recent years. Known for his martial arts skills more than his emotive abilities, Seagal's performances are often characterized by a monotone delivery and an almost comical lack of facial expressions. Seagal's early hits like Above the Law and Under Siege capitalized on his stoic persona and martial arts prowess. However, as his career progressed, the limitations of his acting became increasingly apparent. In films like On Deadly Ground and Fire Down Below, Seagal's attempt at delivering dramatic dialogue often results in unintentional comedy. In recent years, Seagal has largely been relegated to direct-to-video action films, where his stilted performances continue to draw criticism. His 2014 reality show, Steven Seagal Lawman, further cemented his reputation for wooden delivery, even when playing himself. While Seagal may have found a niche in low-budget action flicks, his acting skills, or lack thereof, have made him a frequent target for mockery in the broader film community. 18. Pauly Shore.
Okay, my friend. Try and experience what I'm about to chirp in your lobes, okay, cool? Today, buddy, we're gonna discuss grindage. How to fill the burners, pack the cheeks, and stuff the gills.
Rising to fame in the early 90s with his weasel persona, Pauly Shore quickly became a polarizing figure in comedy. His unique brand of humor, characterized by a surfer dude drawl and exaggerated mannerisms, found success in films like Encino Man and Son-in-Law. However, Shore's limited range as an actor became increasingly apparent as his career progressed. Shore's performances often rely heavily on his established persona, with little variation between characters. This one-note approach worked initially, but quickly wore thin with audiences and critics alike. Films like Biodome and Jury Duty were panned not just for their weak scripts, but for Shore's grating performances. As his popularity waned, Shore struggled to adapt his acting style or take on more challenging roles. His 2003 mockumentary, Pauly Shore is Dead, seemed to acknowledge his fall from grace, but did little to rehabilitate his reputation as an actor. While Shore has found some success in voice acting and stand-up comedy, his legacy in film remains that of a limited performer unable to break free from his typecast weasel character. 17. Tara Reid.
So the deal is, I score, you cooperate and answer all my questions. I miss.
Dinner for two, me and you. Clothing option.
Tara Reid burst onto the scene in the late 90s with promising roles in films like The Big Lebowski and American Pie. However, her acting career quickly took a downward turn, marred by performances that critics often describe as vapid and unconvincing. Reid's limitations as an actress became increasingly apparent in films like Josie and the Pussycats and My Boss's Daughter, where her delivery often came across as flat and her emotional range seemed limited. Her performance in the critically panned Alone in the Dark is frequently cited as one of her worst, with many critics noting her apparent discomfort and lack of conviction in the role. In recent years, Reid has become better known for her off-screen antics and her roles in the Sharknado franchise. While these campy disaster films play to her strengths as a cult figure, they do little to showcase any growth in her acting abilities. Reid's career serves as a cautionary tale of unfulfilled potential and the pitfalls of typecasting in Hollywood. 16. Ashton Kutcher.
I fell.
You fell.
Yeah. I hit my head on a doorknob a few times. I fall a lot these days. I'm so clumsy.
Jack, are you sure that's what happened to you? You sure someone else didn't do this to you?
I deserve it.
Ashton Kutcher rose to fame playing lovable dimwit Michael Kelso on That 70s Show, a role that would unfortunately set the tone for much of his film career. While Kutcher has undeniable charisma and comedic timing, his attempts to branch out into more serious roles have often fallen flat. In romantic comedies like Just Married and What Happens in Vegas, Kutcher relies heavily on his boyish charm, but struggles to bring depth to his characters. His performance in the drama The Butterfly Effect was widely criticized for its lack of emotional range, with many feeling he was out of his depth in the complex role. Perhaps most telling was Kutcher's portrayal of Steve Jobs in the 2013 biopic Jobs. Despite his physical resemblance to the Apple co-founder, Kutcher's performance was widely panned as superficial and unconvincing. Critics noted his inability to capture Jobs' intensity and visionary nature, instead delivering a performance that felt more like an impersonation than a fully realized character. While Kutcher has found success as a producer and tech investor, his acting career remains a point of contention. His recent return to television with The Ranch and That 90s Show suggests he may be most comfortable in the sitcom format that launched his career. 15. Jessica Alba.
I was in the TV series, then when they did the movie, I thought it'd be kind of neat to be part of it. In Entourage, you really do get a peek inside the inner workings of Hollywood.
You still haven't greenlit my passion project.
I know.
And all the bullshit that goes with it.
I'm dealing with a first-time director here who's more interested in Instagramming my ass. Hashtag Jessica Alba's ass.
Well,
Are you kidding?
Jessica Alba shot to fame in the early 2000s with roles in Dark Angel and Sin City, quickly becoming one of Hollywood's most sought-after actresses. However, as her career progressed, critics and audiences began to notice a pattern of underwhelming performances that relied more on her looks than her acting ability. In films like Fantastic Four and Into the Blue, Alba's performances often come across as one-dimensional, with limited emotional range and unconvincing delivery of dialogue. Her turn as a blind violinist in The Eye was particularly criticized, with many feeling she failed to capture the nuances of her character's disability. Even in comedies like Good Luck Chuck and The Love Guru, where less dramatic heavy lifting is required, Alba's performances tend to feel flat and uninspired. Her wooden delivery and lack of comedic timing in these films suggest a limited range that extends beyond just dramatic roles. While Alba has found significant success as an entrepreneur with her company, The Honest Company, her acting career has largely stalled in recent years. Her struggles to convincingly portray complex characters or elevate mediocre material have led many to view her as a prime example of an actress who rose to fame more for her looks than her talent. 14. Hayden Christensen.
I don't like sand. It's coarse, and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere. Not like here. Here everything is soft.
Hayden Christensen's performance as Anakin Skywalker in the Star Wars prequel trilogy is often cited as one of the most disappointing aspects of those films. While some blame can be placed on George Lucas's direction and dialogue, Christensen's wooden delivery and lack of chemistry with his co-stars significantly contributed to the character's poor reception. In scenes meant to convey Anakin's inner turmoil and descent to the dark side, Christensen's performance often comes across as petulant rather than conflicted. His delivery of now infamous lines like, "I don't like sand," has become a source of ridicule among fans and critics alike. Outside of Star Wars, Christensen has struggled to shake off the negative perception of his acting abilities. In films like Jumper and Takers, he continues to display a limited emotional range and often seems uncomfortable on screen. His performance in the 2018 film Little Italy was particularly panned, with critics noting his lack of chemistry with co-star Emma Roberts and his stilted delivery of the film's comedic dialogue. While Christensen has shown moments of potential in smaller indie films, his reputation remains largely defined by his Star Wars performance and subsequent struggles to convincingly portray complex characters. 13. Jennifer Lopez.
We gotta start thinking like these Wall Street guys. You see what they did to this country? They stole from everybody. Hardworking people lost everything. And not one of these douchebags went to jail. Not one.
Jennifer Lopez, often referred to as J-Lo, has undeniably achieved massive success as a pop culture icon, but her acting career has been a source of constant criticism. Despite her undeniable screen presence, Lopez's performances often lack depth and nuance, relying more on her star power than her acting abilities. Lopez's turn in the infamous box office bomb Giggly is frequently cited as one of the worst performances in modern cinema. Her attempts at creating chemistry with co-star Ben Affleck fell flat, and her delivery of the film's already poor dialogue was widely mocked. Even in more successful films like Made in Manhattan and The Wedding Planner, Lopez's performances tend to feel one note, failing to fully embody her characters beyond surface-level charm. Her attempts at more serious roles, such as in Angel Eyes or An Unfinished Life, often come across as forced and unconvincing. While Lopez has found some success in lighter comedies and as a producer, her acting continues to draw criticism. Her performance in the 2019 film Hustlers was seen by some as a potential turning point, but for many critics, it was too little, too late to redeem a career filled with subpar performances. 12. Kevin Costner.
Crap. I believe Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone. I believe there ought to be a constitutional amendment outlawing AstroTurf and the designated hitter. I believe in the sweet spot, softcore pornography, opening your presents Christmas morning rather than Christmas Eve, and I believe in long, slow, deep, soft, wet kisses that last 3 days.
Kevin Costner's career has been a roller coaster of critical acclaim and scathing reviews. While he's delivered strong performances in films like Bull Durham and Dances with Wolves, his acting in many other projects has been lambasted for its stoic, often emotionless quality. Costner's performance in the infamous flop Waterworld is often singled out as particularly wooden. His portrayal of the Mariner lacks the charisma and depth needed to carry such an ambitious project, contributing significantly to the film's failure. Even in more successful films like The Bodyguard, Costner's acting is frequently described as stiff and one-dimensional. His tendency to play variations of the same stoic, strong silent type character has led to accusations of laziness and lack of range. In recent years, Costner has found success on television with Yellowstone, but even there, critics note that he's essentially playing to type rather than stretching his acting muscles. While Costner's career has had its high points, his limitations as an actor have become increasingly apparent over time, cementing his reputation as a performer who often fails to fully inhabit his characters. 11. Kristen Stewart.
A while.
Kristen Stewart's acting career has been a journey from much maligned teenager to respected indie darling, but her early performances still land her on many worst actors lists. Her breakout role as Bella Swan in the Twilight Saga was widely criticized for its apparent lack of emotional range. Throughout the Twilight films, Stewart's performance is characterized by a limited set of expressions, often alternating between blank stares and lip-biting, that became fodder for countless parodies. Her delivery of dialogue often came across as flat and disinterested, failing to convey the intense emotions her character was supposed to be experiencing. Even outside of Twilight, Stewart's early career was marked by performances that critics described as awkward and uncomfortable. In films like Jumper and The Messengers, her apparent discomfort on screen and monotone delivery drew negative attention. While Stewart has since proven her acting chops in independent films and even earned an Oscar nomination for Spencer, her early performances continue to haunt her reputation. The stark contrast between her wooden Twilight-era work and her later, more nuanced roles serves as a reminder of her initial struggles as an actress. 10. Vin Diesel.
That's clever. You know, you almost had me going there for a while. I was a bit groggy before, and then I started noticing things. Like you got a stockbroker over here, all dressed up, reading the Financial Times on a Sunday morning when the market's closed.
Vin Diesel has built a career on his imposing physical presence and gravelly voice, but his acting abilities have long been a point of contention. While he's found massive success with the Fast and Furious franchise, Diesel's performances are often criticized for their lack of range and emotional depth. In the Fast and Furious films, Diesel's portrayal of Dominic Toretto rarely strays from a narrow band of gruff intensity. When the scripts call for more emotional moments, Diesel often struggles to convincingly convey complex feelings, relying instead on his physicality and trademark glower. Outside of his comfort zone, Diesel's limitations become even more apparent. His performance in The Last Witch Hunter was widely panned, with critics noting his inability to bring any real character to his role beyond his usual tough guy persona. Even in voice acting roles like the Iron Giant and Groot in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Diesel's range is limited, relying heavily on the novelty of his distinctive voice rather than nuanced performance. While Diesel has undeniable screen presence and has found a niche that works for him commercially, his inability to convincingly portray a wide range of emotions or characters beyond his established persona has cemented his reputation as an actor of limited range. 9. Adam Sandler.
Calm down.
I am calm. What is it with you people?
You people.
Oh, now wait a minute. I don't mean you people, I mean you people.
Sir, I will not tolerate any racist behavior on the plane. This is a very difficult time for our country.
I know that. I'm not a racist. I just want to watch the movie.
I'm only going to say this one more time, sir. Calm down.
I'm calm!
Adam Sandler's career is a study in contrasts. While he's capable of delivering nuanced performances in dramatic roles, his comedy work which makes up the bulk of his filmography, is often criticized for its reliance on juvenile humor and one-note characters. In films like Jack and Jill, where Sandler plays both the male and female lead, his performances are frequently described as grating and over the top. His tendency to use silly voices and exaggerated mannerisms in place of actual character development has led to numerous Razzie nominations and wins. Even in more straightforward comedies like Grown Ups or The Do-Over, Sandler often seems to be playing variations of the same character, a man-child who learns a lesson by the end of the film. This repetitive approach to acting, combined with often lowbrow humor, has led many critics to view Sandler as an actor who prioritizes easy laughs over genuine performance. While Sandler has proven his acting chops in films like Punch Drunk Love and Uncut Gems, these performances are often seen as exceptions that prove the rule. For many, Sandler remains the poster child for lazy, phoned-in performances in subpar comedy films. 8. Sylvester Stallone. Sylvester Stallone is an American actor, screenwriter, and filmmaker best known for creating and starring in the Rocky and Rambo franchises. Born on July 6, 1946, in New York City, Stallone rose to fame with his breakthrough role as Rocky Balboa in the 1976 film Rocky, which he also wrote. The film was a critical and commercial success, winning 3 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. Stallone's muscular physique, distinctive slurred speech, and intense on-screen presence made him a natural fit for action roles. He solidified his status as an action star with the Rambo series, beginning with First Blood in 1982. Throughout the 1980s and 1990s, Stallone starred in numerous action films, often portraying tough working-class characters or military veterans. In addition to acting, Stallone has also worked behind the camera as a director and producer. He has continued to revisit and expand his most famous franchises, writing and starring in later installments of both Rocky and Rambo well into his 60s and 70s. In recent years, Stallone has also appeared in ensemble action films like the Expendables series, which he co-wrote and starred in alongside other action movie icons. Stallone's career has been marked by both critical acclaim and commercial success. While some of his films have been dismissed by critics as formulaic action fare, others have received praise for their emotional depth and Stallone's committed performances. His portrayal of Rocky Balboa, in particular, has been widely acclaimed and has become an enduring symbol of determination and the underdog spirit in popular culture. Despite facing numerous challenges and setbacks throughout his career, Stallone has demonstrated remarkable resilience and longevity in the film industry. His ability to continually reinvent himself and his most famous characters has kept him relevant in Hollywood for over 4 decades. 7. Paris Hilton.
No, but I can totally read your mind, Dean. I know who your hero is. Your daddy. Am I right?
Paris Hilton's forays into acting have been met with almost universal derision from critics and audiences alike. While she's better known as a reality TV star and socialite, Hilton's attempts at transitioning to scripted roles have resulted in some truly cringeworthy performances. Hilton's acting debut in the 2005 film House of Wax was widely panned, with critics noting her flat delivery and apparent discomfort on screen. Her death scene in the film became particularly infamous, with many viewing it as unintentionally comedic rather than horrifying. In romantic comedies like The Hottie and the Naughty, Hilton's performance was criticized for its lack of depth and reliance on her public persona rather than any real acting ability. The film is often cited as one of the worst of all time, due in large part to Hilton's wooden central performance. Even in roles that seem tailor-made for her public image, such as in Repo, the Genetic Opera. Hilton fails to bring any real depth or nuance to her characters. Her line delivery often comes across as stilted and unnatural, suggesting a fundamental lack of comfort with the craft of acting. While Hilton has found success in other areas of entertainment, her acting career serves as a cautionary tale about the difficulties of transitioning from reality TV to scripted roles without proper training or natural talent. 6. Megan Fox.
Do you want to dance?
Yeah, with Alex.
Megan Fox burst onto the scene with her role in the Transformers franchise, but her acting abilities quickly came under scrutiny. While undeniably photogenic, Fox's performances are often criticized for their lack of depth and emotional range. In the Transformers films, Fox's portrayal of Michaela Baines was widely seen as one-dimensional, relying more on her looks than any real character development. Her delivery of dialogue often came across as flat and disinterested, failing to convey any real emotional connection to the high-stakes situations her character found herself in. Fox's attempts to branch out into other genres have been met with similar criticism. Her performance in the horror comedy Jennifer's Body was seen by many as a missed opportunity, with critics noting her inability to fully embody the complex nature of her character. While the film has since gained a cult following, Fox's performance is still often cited as one of its weaker elements. In comedies like How to Lose Friends and Alienate People and This Is 40, Fox struggles to deliver convincing performances, often coming across as stiff and uncomfortable in scenes that require comedic timing or emotional vulnerability. While Fox has shown some improvement in recent years, particularly in smaller indie films, her early performances continue to define her reputation as an actress. Her struggles to convey complex emotions or develop fully realized characters have led many to view her as an example of style over substance in Hollywood casting. 5. Nicolas Cage.
God, you have the power to take our lives, but I have the power to make you rich. So please just let her take the car and drive away, and I'll do that. I'll open the safe and make you rich. Oh, her? Are you sure she's worth it, Kyle? $1 million. Yes, that's right, kid. You did it. You hit the mother love. You saw me sign for $1 million with your own eyes, and it's right there, just inches away. All you have to do is just let my wife go.
Nicolas Cage's acting career is perhaps one of the most polarizing in Hollywood. While he's capable of delivering nuanced, Oscar-winning performances, he's also notorious for his over-the-top, manic acting style that has become the subject of countless memes and parodies. Cage's performance in films like The Wicker Man and Vampire's Kiss are often held up as examples of his most unhinged acting. In these roles, Cage seems to abandon all subtlety, delivering lines with an intensity that many viewers find more comical than convincing. Even in more mainstream films like Ghost Rider or Drive Angry, Cage's tendency to overact can be distracting. His wild-eyed expressions and exaggerated delivery often overshadow the plot and other performers, making it difficult for audiences to engage with the story. While some defend Cage's style as a form of committed character acting, many critics view it as a lack of restraint or poor judgment. His willingness to take on roles in low-quality films and give outlandish performances has led to a perception of Cage as an actor more concerned with paycheck than craft. Despite occasional returns to form in films like Adaptation or Pig, Cage's reputation remains that of an actor whose performances are often more spectacle than substance, landing him frequently on lists of Hollywood's worst actors. 4. Tommy Wiseau.
She was sitting, drinking her coffee, and she was so beautiful. And I say hi to her. That's how we...
Tommy Wiseau's performance in The Room is often cited as one of the worst acting jobs in cinematic history. As the writer, director, producer, and star of the film, Wiseau's bizarre on-screen presence and incomprehensible line delivery have become legendary in the annals of bad movies. Wiseau's portrayal of Johnny in The Room is marked by an often inexplicable accent, awkward physicality, and a seeming disconnect from the emotions his character should be experiencing. His delivery of now infamous lines like, "You're tearing me apart, Lisa," has become a cultural touchstone for bad acting. What sets Wiseau apart from other actors on this list is the earnestness with which he approaches his performance. Unlike some bad actors who seem disinterested or who are clearly just cashing a paycheck, Wiseau appears to be giving his all. It's just that his all is so far removed from conventional acting norms that it becomes fascinating in its awfulness. Wiseau's limited acting resume outside of The Room suggests that his performance wasn't a one-off fluke, but rather a reflection of his general approach to acting. While he's gained a cult following and The Room has become a beloved, so bad it's good film, Wiseau's acting remains a benchmark for cinematic ineptitude. 3. Bai Ling.
East and west. Never the twain shall meet.
Bai Ling's acting career in Hollywood has been marked by performances that often border on the bizarre. While she had a successful career in China, her transition to English-language films has been rocky at best. In films like The Crow and Wild Wild West, Ling's performances are frequently described as over-the-top and lacking in nuance. Her delivery of English dialogue often comes across as stilted and unnatural, suggesting a struggle with the language that impacts her ability to fully embody her characters. Ling's tendency to overact is particularly apparent in B-movies and straight-to-video releases, where her exaggerated facial expressions and melodramatic line readings often veer into unintentional comedy. Her performance in Southland Tales, while fitting the bizarre tone of the film, was singled out by many critics as particularly grating. Off-screen antics and provocative public appearances have further contributed to Ling's reputation as an actress more known for eccentricity than talent. While she continues to work steadily, often in low-budget productions, Ling's performances are frequently held up as examples of misguided casting and poor acting choices. 2. John Travolta.
Bitch. I wish Freddy Krueger would come and chop off your head, and it would roll in the street, and a truck would squish it, and the blood would splatter everywhere.
John Travolta's acting career has seen incredible highs and embarrassing lows. While he's capable of delivering strong performances, his questionable role choices and tendency to overact in certain films have earned him a spot on many worst actors lists. Travolta's performance in the notorious flop Battlefield Earth is often cited as one of the worst of all time. His portrayal of the alien Turl was universally panned, with critics pointing to his hammy acting and ridiculous appearance as major factors in the film's failure. Even in less extreme cases, Travolta often seems to struggle with finding the right tone for his performances. In films like Gotti and Speed Kills, his attempts at portraying real-life figures come across as caricatures rather than fully realized characters. Travolta's late career choices have been particularly questionable, with films like The Fanatic showcasing an actor seemingly out of touch with modern filmmaking sensibilities. His performance as an obsessed fan in this film was widely mocked for its tone-deaf portrayal of mental illness and general creepiness. While Travolta has delivered iconic performances in films like Pulp Fiction and Saturday Night Fever, his later career missteps have significantly tarnished his reputation. His willingness to take on ill-advised roles and his often over-the-top acting choices have made him a frequent target for criticism in recent years. 1. Ed Wood.
My mind's in a muddle. I cannot pick the spot. I can't make sense to myself sometimes.
While Ed Wood was primarily known as a director, his occasional on-screen appearances are considered some of the worst acting ever committed to film. Wood's lack of natural talent combined with his earnest belief in his own abilities, resulted in performances that are fascinatingly bad. In his own films like Glenn or Glenda and Plan 9 from Outer Space, Wood's acting is marked by a wooden delivery and an apparent lack of awareness of how to naturally embody a character. His line readings often sound more like someone reciting dialogue than a person engaged in conversation. What makes Wood's performances particularly notable is the contrast between his limited abilities and his apparent conviction in his artistic vision. Unlike some bad actors who seem aware of their limitations, Wood approached his roles with a sincerity that makes his failures all the more striking. Wood's acting, like his directing, has gained a cult following over the years precisely because of its ineptitude. His performances serve as a benchmark for enthusiasts of so bad it's good cinema, representing a perfect storm of limited talent and outsized ambition. While Wood's acting career was limited, his on-screen appearances have become legendary in the annals of bad movie history. His sincere, yet utterly misguided performances serve as the ultimate example of an actor whose ambition far outstripped his abilities, earning him the dubious honor of topping our list of the worst actors of all time. Now it's time to hear from you. Who do you think deserves to be on this list that we missed? And which of these actors do you think has the potential to redeem themselves with a great performance? Let us know in the comments section down below.